the things that, you know, that we have been used to, that the people really just have to prepare their minds for um, a lot. When you say reawakening minds, it's going to be kind of more real than people think it is on many levels. But my concern is really to try to talk about things that we can affect more currently, you know, like more down to earth, more mundanely, and not to get outlandish. And I don't mean outlandish because it is outlandish in that sense, is because trying to, you know, argue with a child about riding a motorcycle when they have a tricycle with training wheels at that type thing. And it's not to disregard us, but it also is to project the truth of the matter is that we're going to have to advance. We're going to have to. We got a lot of makeup to do, um, based based on the artificial, not the real, the artificial suppression of humanity. Gates are going to be opened up, and so people are sometimes looking at things that they're not capable when they actually are. They actually are. It's just that it's going to be so uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I think these things have to be talked about more openly by people who kind of know some things and don't talk or talk around things, because you, when you talk honestly, you get attacked. And it's not so much that you're concerned with attack because you know also certain energies, but that to protect people who are around you. And but the other deal of it is that comfort zone that the priests have had of getting away with that is being closed out. That's another reason why we're talking about this, because it's going to be opened up more and more and more at a faster and faster rate. And a lot of things that the people see in the geopolitics is kind of like a diversion in a way, but in another way reflective, because the priesthood are acting harmonic in what they know that they've done to humanity, and also uh, what can be and is being done to them now with counter moves. And so my discussions in general is to try to encourage humanity to, you know, like Noble Drawley said, you know, the people need to learn to love instead of hate. As the truth, as truth comes out, people will recognize that a lot of the destructive, anti-evolutionary or anti-ascension attitudes was taught to them, and that is not necessarily in the nature of the people to support or to be naive to, or to be complacent while the cannibalistic hybrids have been ruling and have actually destroyed society on at Midgard. And I think that a lot of times the way when people are looking at this, they think that Midgard itself has been in such um, a dense atmosphere prior to the Futon belt, you know, transit, that this is permanent. My position has always been that I don't see a reason why Midgard can't be a better place for all to live, truthfully, even though it's been contaminated, because the conditions are artificial for the most part. The poverty is artificial. The destructions of nations, etc., has been an artificial operation for rulership of the priesthood. And much of the problems that the people have reflective in their personal lives has been more of the jealousy work and the greed work of the priesthood, and not an operation of nature at Midgard. And I think that should be addressed by the scholars, the philosophers, the true Gnostics, distinguished from people who've been claiming to be priests and religious. Not that they don't know, but they have an agenda, and their agenda has never been in the best interest of humanity at large. And and then you have the other problem with the hybrids, kind of angry, because they have pretty much stolen the earth. In some ways, they've gained the whole world, and yet the sun that gives life is seeking to kill them. They have that. They have that personal, physical affair with the sun, which is why they're doing another reason upon multiple reasons why they're doing chemtrails and other, um, putting other metals in the air like aluminum, barium, and other medicines. I mean, other germ warfare to make the human sick. It's sort of like robbing the world, and recognizing they're not going to be able to necessarily enjoy the spoils. It's sort of like trying to kill off the true people of the earth, trying to steal the earth, and the sun, that is one of the governors of this particular sphere or place to live, is seeking to kill them itself, which is beyond the geopolitics on the surface. That's an interesting dynamics. Now, executors. I'm going to go into executors so that the people can look at executor and understand the operations, or how the hybrids think when they're operating their governments. Um, the executor. Now, when you're looking at the takeover operations of Phoenicia or the Iberian Peninsula, and then you look at the heterogeneous hybrids, or what we refer to as the hybrid Europeans, corrupting the platforms of structure of government. The executure is that department of the English government which has charge of the collection of the national revenue, or now what you would call under, say, Canada, the U.S. Corporation Inquisition operations, Fleet Street, England, the Circuit Church and the Chancery, Queen of England, etc., Windsor's, etc. You would call that, the IRS. That would be the Treasury Department. And as you all know, for those who know geopolitics, that the defunct Treasury Department of the United States Corporation Company, which was been defunct, I think, was since about 1921, in that area. And the enforcement of the Inquisition operations known as the IRS. The IRS has been blended into the Treasury Department, which is really the executor's chamber, etc., of operation. And so you would be dealing with the Chancery, or what they would call the Chancery Courts of England, operating via the Bar Association to run the court systems of human trafficking and human trade at North America, and the judicial systems, which they've been doing actually for years. I would venture to guess, when people are talking about Woodrow Wilson and Jekyll Island, and they're talking about the absence of gold and silver, etc., that they may wisely look back to 1861 and look at that operation, etc. So you look at the neutralization or the capturing of the legitimate republic platform structured by virtue of Ordinance of 1787 and the Constitution for the United States, introduced for their operations here under treaty by the Honesty Confederation of Moors etc., which is a political confederation, not a tribe in the concept that the people have been told. So when you look at that breaching, the breaching of the entire political platform, you can see comprehend even say with the operations of the Inquisition, revenue services not really being operative, which is also why you see them sending out these so-called checks. Checks, you notice how to say checks? They're coming from the exchequer's chamber. They are. Um, and so you'll see the praetors are battling to try to maintain the platform structures of Piscean constellation energies, and it can't survive. Um, Problem is uh, they're keeping the people diverted from really looking at these things because so many of them shall be and are and should be held guilty of both misprision of treason and crimes against humanity. Um, as a starter. Now, if and as things progress particularly in this cycle of 20, what they refer to as 2021, which is really not the real date. We'll get into that later because I don't want to get diverted. Um, Things will be introduced probably, and I can't say because I don't have what you call inside knowledge on that, but I do know from mental projection the direction that it's going. And they're going to release, they're going to be forced to release, not that they want to. Some of the technology that we talked about earlier, like this, that will actually um, move towards stop attacking Midgard itself to maintain really beyond obsolete technology that we've been using for hundreds of years, not just the last 100 years or the last couple of hundred since the hybrids have been occupying North America. Because the truth of the matter is that the technology and the disciplines of, say, as an example, 20,000 years ago is more expansive, more comprehensive than what exists now, etc. So, but I would look at more likely they're going to probably expose more of the energy technology. That's the energy output, etc. And that would be inclusive in both of your travel principles or vehicles, etc. But it will be introduced in such a way that while it disrupts the dogma systems, which they must go all together, um, it will disrupt almost every established organizational system of both transportation, energy transfer, heating systems, what you refer to as the electrical grid now, which is kind of like very base. That's really very base. But for people to look at it, we'll just say the electrical systems. Um, and find that basically they could take a module, actually smaller than this pendant, and run this city. And that's the truth. Um, and this idea, that they're still promoting, the monetary system the way we use things now. That had more to do with maintaining control over the people than it had to do with actual necessity. So there's this mentality that the moneta, the mint system of Yakimthaler operations is an important construction within organized society, and that's not totally true. It has been more, we've been groomed to it, and so we look at that as a necessary methodology but the fact of the matter is, not really. And so we're going to get past that too. But anyway, to maintain, for them to maintain the health conditions on the planet, has been necessary for them to both hide the truth about the advancement of humanity on the planet, hide the fact that they've been actually warring on us, hide the fact that 90% of all sicknesses they created, because the body forms that we have are so, really, even as they are now, so advanced that the fact of the matter is that most of these things that we refer to as sicknesses, you know, can't really do us in, kind of like, and so they actually have to do what you call, or operate, like they talk about all the time, the Antichrist, and they're looking at it as some belief system. The Antichrist is really the scientific work of the priesthood to actually kill off humanity and humanity's developmental potential. That's more the Antichrist than this idea of worship that the people have.
Right, because the Christ consciousness, it's against the consciousness,
that's right,
that we could obtain and should obtain in order to, reach.
But the consciousness correlates, also conjoins to other beingness.
Of course.
See,
we're connected.
And the other beingness, and so this is now, then you're getting back to your cognizance about this misconception of gods. And like you said before, how like when people start debating those things with the anthropomorphic concepts, they fail to recognize that the anthropomorphic Jesus told them already that you're all gods. When they keep on having these arguments and debates about godness, God this and God that, and they don't even know what God is. And they're gods, but not in the concept that they've been using it, of competing with each other. And necessarily, concept is wrong. It just means the good. And also, when you're looking at the positions of Midgard in relationship to the seven sisters, that we know as Santa Claus's sleigh,
The Big Dipper?
Yeah, Big Dipper. When you look at the Big Dipper in his four positions of the four gates of the universe, from the position of Muhammad, and so when you say from the position of Muhammad, that means Muhammad's mountains, from the positions of the mountains, as you look into the heavens and you see the four positions of the seven sisters, it creates what you know as swastika, which is why the swastika is ancient among Africans or the people of the planet, etc. And why they used to use henna. You'll see when the daughters would choose a mate, etc. They'd take henna and they'd dress their hands up and they put swastika on there. Sometimes they put swastika on here. And then you'll see also what they would know called the mundane cross. So when you're looking at the mundane cross, you're looking at the seven sisters in the four gates. So the mundane cross is also where you call what they call in ancient Coptic, the Coptic cross, where you see the cross with the circle around it. So the cross with the circle around that would represent also the seven sisters in your four gates. And so these symbolisms also in African culture actually tell the story of the heavens. And so when you're looking at the ephemerides as an example, it doesn't dawn on people to think what they've been thinking is some kind of worship system is actually star charting. It doesn't. They don't look at it that way. But that's what it is. So when and so you have this paradox that's going on even right now, where these clashes between different nation states and people among nations trying to solve their economic and political problems, but they're trying to do it without telling the truth of how we got to the where we are. And they're trying to restore the economic systems based on the blind faith systems of Sylvester, and and all that, with this tithing system that they have been governing the planet for quite some time with. And so the people are in this state of mind that they can't live, because they've been trained to this, that they cannot survive if they don't pay taxes to Rome. They'll move Rome, and instead of saying taxes, instead of saying tithe, they'll say tax. And so they don't know that this is where the priesthood, by design and by fraud, have actually infiltrated or taken over 90 or more percent of all governmental structures on Midgard Earth. And this is the source of almost all of your problems. And the fact that they know much of, not all, the ancient sciences of Hikupta, and they hide. So when they're talking about the ancient science, in modern world, some people say Moorish science. They'll say the Saba knowledge, or keeping the Sabbath, all mean the same thing. They're simply really talking about how things really work here at Midgard. That's the truth. They will not tell the people the truth that when the 72 scholars, they'll say septa, which means seven. Well, they'll not tell the truth about the 72 scholars that the popes assigned to modify the Septuaginta, and to leave out of the Septuaginta Fatima, Muhammad, etc. So when people talk about Muhammad and Fatima, they're thinking Holy Quran only, etc. And it never dawns on them that the science of the hemispheres, the northern hemisphere of the Amaphorites, is symbolized by Muhammad. In the secret societies, when they refer to the mountaintop, they're talking about Muhammad's mountain, which is also dealing with the hex alpha principle of balance and isonomy, which is the carpenter's tools, symbolized by the compass and the square, or they say Jesus was a carpenter. So these metaphors are actually dealing with charting the stars.